Okay, hello everyone. Mark here, founder of Formbird. Today we have a special guest, Scott Hansen. He's one of our partners. He's involved in some pretty exciting work, stuff that all engineers love is a bit of IoT, bit of automation, and leveraging software, something we're very happy and excited about. So I'll hand it over to Scotty and we'll just run through what he's doing and how he's doing it and how he's leveraging the platform. So Scotty, tell us a little bit about your background and then we'll go into having a look at the great work you're doing.
Thanks, Mark. So my engineering started out in with a waste manufacturing company or a garbage truck manufacturing company, one of Australia's largest, where I was doing all the hydraulic control system programming and any R&D. And that was actually where Mark and I met each other. We were working on a project for the local council and Mark was also helping them out with the same project. So we'd started to look at the Formbird system, that was about 2 years ago, I think, as an in-cab vehicle control system. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see the project all the way through because I left part way. But since then, myself and my business partner, Jonathan, have started our own engineering company, systems integration company called Corematic Engineering. And we help out any type of clientele. We work in agriculture, in the smelting industries, in manufacturing, biopharmaceuticals, and help them to bring smart and intelligent software, control systems, monitoring platforms into their processes and help them become more efficient. And that's again where our relationship with Mark started up. We've developed a couple of different software platforms so far with the Formbird system, and it's been a real pleasure.
So Scott, perhaps let's run through the first release of Smart Farm. Perhaps give us a little bit of a background on it. One of the coolest things that I've seen is the fruit counter that you've developed, and perhaps just talk about the offline and the ability for the fruit counter to upload to the local Formbird and then get that data uploaded, and the whole integration and use of the IoT with the software in the field and then software on the server. But let's perhaps run through the concept and what's the business value and why do people want to count fruit?
Sure. So I suppose if we start right at the start with the Smart Farm concept, we were approached by a farming contractor. In Australia, we have very tight regulations on the use of chemicals and how that's recorded. So previously, he'd been recording all of his chemical usage and the environmental conditions at the time through an Excel spreadsheet. And we came to him and said, look, we've got this wonderful software, we can integrate it with Google Maps, you can start to plot a lot of your fields, and most importantly, you can record all of your data in a really easy to use and friendly format. So he can search back years and years of data really quickly, really easily, and manipulate it or pull it forward if there's any audits that come about. So that was the start of the Smart Farm. And from there, we've met with lots of other different farmers in different industries. And as Mark said, one of the really interesting projects that we picked up recently has been to count the yield of fruit. So to start with, we were pulled on board to develop the actual counting mechanism. So we've found the hardware, we've developed the software to create a live counting system that can be mounted directly on the harvester. The concept is that we'll count the fruit as it's harvested, associate it with the GPS location, and then broadcast that data to the Formbird system for visualization to give the farmer a live and a real yield map of their farm. So we're not talking a block, we're talking almost down to per tree basis. So the beauty of the Formbird system, aside from its ease of use, for us has been the fact that we can actually run it locally on the machine that's running in the harvester. So as we're driving along in the field, it takes the fruit about 9 seconds from the time that we pick it up to the time that we put it into the hopper and count it. So rather than process all of that offsetting data for the GPS, in the counting system, we can actually utilize the Formbird software to post-process. So we can manipulate the data once we receive it at the server side and make it real and make it useful. Another stumbling block for us was that a lot of the farms that we're performing this counting in is actually in remote areas. So we don't have a lot of signal coverage, which means that we struggle to get the data back and get it back reliably and consistently. So the beauty of being able to run the Formbird software locally on the controller on the machine has meant that Formbird itself will actually manage a lot of the connections. So when it sees a cellular connection, it will check with the server and push the most recent data. And if we can't get any cellular connection, well, then it will revert back to a local Wi-Fi network when the harvester returns back to the shed or back to a location where there's Wi-Fi available. So it's really simplified for us from an integration perspective, the communication, the post-processing, and even our time to market. So our specialty is vision systems. We're not necessarily an online software programming company. And that's where Formbirds has really helped us out. We've been able to utilise our strength as a mechatronic engineers and couple it with the versatility and the simplicity of what's really a very powerful software-based system.
So Scotty, why don't we run through and perhaps just talk about how you learned the system, how many months it's been now? I think it's what, about 2.5, 3 months since you first started to develop in Formbird, even though you had some exposure a couple of years ago. You really didn't get into the development of it yourself at that point. So I suppose just the whole learning process, what you've achieved today. So perhaps we can run through the application. You can, as you're talking, just talk about how you've leveraged the platform and where your application is, you know, what are the benefits of that application? You've spoken a little bit about it, but perhaps just actually show everyone where it's heading and how a farmer is going to get benefit out of it.
Yeah, sure. So we started out, as Mark said, it was about 2 months, 3 months ago, originally with an asset tracking system. So part of the Formbird platform is asset tracking, and we were able to utilize some of the pre-configured modules to develop a really nice user-friendly vehicle asset monitoring and route optimization software. So that was the start. From there, obviously, the smart farm grew. It was a really easy transition into the software. So as I've mentioned, my background is more in PLC control systems and vision software. So a totally different type of programming to what we'll generally see with online platforms through HTML and JavaScript and other languages. The beautiful part of the Formbird software has been that it's all coded in JSON, which is quite natural to me, and it's been very, very rapid. So the Smart Farm software, which, speaking to other development companies, might have taken 3, 6, 12 months to develop, we've actually been able to develop it in the space of about 3 weeks. And that's actually been taking the bare bones of the Formbird software, including drop-down lists and field entries, and then also manipulating that data using HTML building blocks to create neat little animations such as interactive menus, drop-down menus, pop-up menus, and even right down to being able to modify the existing forms that or modules, components that are part of the Formbird system to create plotting. So I've been able to take existing software that Mark's team have developed, and we've actually been able to manipulate it slightly to give us the ultimate output that we've been looking for. So we've been able to create really beautiful, simple entry points for the customer to enter their data, and then we can represent it in a useful fashion, be it via interactive graphs, which we can turn on and off. So we can pull the data through really, really easily and represent it however we want, which has worked so well for me. Again, I stress, as a non-web developer. It's just been a very, very easy, simple transition.
I think you told me at one stage that within 40 hours of starting and learning that the customer had already signed off on the sort of direction and approach that you'd been taking.
Yeah, that's right. So we were able to, for the smart farm, we were able to sit down with the client and understand what they wanted. I was then able to go away, and within sort of 24 to 48 hours, I came back with a very rough but a working platform, so they could actually see their data going in and being visualized and displayed on a map, on a graph, so they could see the rapid development of it. And they instantly signed. As Mark said, it was a very easy sale conversion, simply because we could go from concept to some level of presentation and development almost instantly. And they commented as well that they actually hadn't experienced that type of service with any other company previously. So it's been able to give us a real leading edge in the market, which has been brilliant for us, brilliant for our customers. It means the software development costs them less and it costs us less in time, which means we can move on to the next exciting project.
So just a little bit about what you're displaying here, and just, I suppose, just a little bit on the smart farm. So you're talking earlier, so here we've got the representation of the various paddocks or fields or, you know, areas that a farmer's working on. And I gather that each of those will record, so the contractor records what's being requested by the farmer in terms of spraying, in terms of harvesting, and then what the farmer will then come in and request for those services. And so the data is shared between the contractor and the farmer in this case. Is that true?
That's exactly right. So the software has been developed more for farming contractors in mind, but obviously farmers themselves can use it as well. So not only do we store the important chemical information, but also any jobs that have been requested. So the client that we've developed this for work right from field cultivation all the way through to planting, maintaining the crop, and then harvesting. So they can show to the customer exactly what work is to be done, what work has been done, and the customer can interact with a lot of that at various levels. So we can also really easily create security levels, access levels, be it read and write, be it delete, be it modify only, create new, or just read on its own. So we can even limit right down to particular pages, again, very, very easily and very quickly, to create quite a complex interaction system between our client and his clients. And he can simply call us and say, all right, Scott, I need this new access level here, which will only allow my client to see perhaps reports, client reports or job reports, and we can quickly make a change, and that will give them the immediate security they require.
Right.
So as Mark,
Scotty, so you're taking the vehicle movement data, you're taking the fruit collection data, and you're also putting in and managing the business data, being what's being requested and what's being processed. So bringing all of that data together then gives a complete operational view for the farmer and for the contractor. Is that where it's all going?
That's exactly right. That's the best way to sum it, is that we've taken multiple different sources of data. So we've got our operational data, we've got our yield data, we've got our vehicle location data, and even right down to you could actually track personnel if that was required, all in one central platform. So we've seen this monitoring page here as our super map, and ultimately you'll be able to zoom right down to your locally plotted farm block, from where you can then see, okay, this farm is located in this area. Let's click into it and see what sort of information we've got on it. So we can see who the owners are, where the block's been plotted. We can make modifications to the block if need be. And ideally, it will also be overlaid with a heat map style image like this to show the client what sort of crop yield they've got. So they can actually zoom right down to quite a low level to see where the high yield areas are, and where the low yield areas may be.
Right.
So then they can start to make smart business decisions based on use of fertiliser and tree density scans and lots of other sources of information to start to understand why they're getting yield and how they can optimise their fields.
Fantastic. So I suppose the future could be also satellite data could come into this. So satellite-based data collection using remote sensing, weather sensing, etc., could all be incorporated.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So the beauty of it is truly an IoT platform, which also has the capacity for some manual data entry. So we can take in satellite data, we can take in drone data to give us ideas on current crop yield, crop health. There's lots of emerging technologies, particularly in the agricultural space, but also in other industries as well, where we're starting to see the use of overhead GIS style data, all of which can be pulled into this software very, very easily, utilising pre-existing modules and components readily available online. So again, I stress the time to market. It's just almost instantaneous.
So how many hours do you think it took you to learn the basics of Formbird? You know, you started. How many hours did you spend with us training, and how did you get up to speed with that? What was that process?
I think from memory, you and I sat down for maybe an hour or two, and you ran me through more the language of the Formbird system, understanding what a component is, understanding what a template and a document is, giving me a crash course in the JSON programming and how to get the components through. And really from there, that was the extent of the training. I was able to utilise a lot of your manuals and help information that you have, and we were able to get things moving really quickly. Sorry, I'll just shut that. Someone's in the background is grinding. Mark, just excuse me. Sorry, Mark, busy spot.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay, I think we're probably just about wrapped up there, Scotty. I think it's very exciting, and you've done a fantastic job, and I think everyone should be very impressed with the work you've been doing. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Very good.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with the software. It really has. So I hope your watchers will understand that and get to enjoy it as well.
Well done, Scotty. We'll talk soon again. The next time you have something exciting to show us, which I'm sure won't be long. Won't be far away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, mate.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.